Welcome, dear traders. Let's discuss what is going on in the US stock market. Our analysts also want to share their forecast with you. Despite thin market in Asia and Europe on occasions of national holidays, Wall Street is ready to follow new trends. April of 2022 has been the worst month for the US stock market over the last 2 years. Major stock indexes are opening May in the red. For a start, let me remind you that the key Wall Street indexes closed last week with heavy losses. The Dow Jones lost 2.8% on Friday, the Nasdaq closed 4.2% down, and the S&P500 shed 155 points or 3.6%. The New York pre-market suggested a further decline for the S&P. It's expected to trade in the corridor between 4,100 and 4,170 points. As a result of massive selling, the index ended up on Friday with the sharpest loss since June 2020. The S&P 500 incurred the biggest losses in April over the same period. The Nasdaq printed the worst decline since the financial crisis of 2008. The culprit of losses on Friday was a report by Amazon. The company reported the net loss of $3.8 billion in the first quarter against $8.1 billion gains in the previous quarter. In response, its stocks slumped 14%. Investors stoked fears about a recovery in the global economy due to the poor financial record by Amazon, gloomy forecast by other high-tech giants, a 40-year high in U.S. consumer inflation, and a 1.4% fall in the preliminary U.S. GDP. The Fed's policy meeting is ahead this week. The U.S. Central Bank is widely expected to announce a rate hike and reduction in its balance sheet. Chairman Jerome Powell will make comments on the policy decisions. The U.S. stock market is set to trade under high volatility. Perhaps it will see another wave of sell-offs depending on the rhetoric of the Fed's leader. According to the recent poll by the American Association of Retail Investors, 59.4% of respondents foresee bearish prospects on Wall Street in the next 6 months, in the highest level of pessimism since 2009. At the same time, more reports on corporate earnings might cheer up market sentiment. This week, Pfizer, Starbucks, and Phillips are due to release their profits. Later today, traders will get to know the U.S. manufacturing PMI that could also serve as a market catalyst. The U.S. dollar index has settled at nearly 103.30 points, the strongest level in 19 years. Investors are bullish about the U.S. dollar. Its index is likely to trade in the corridor between 103.10 and 103.60 today. Despite a dip in the index on Friday, the greenback resumed its stunning rally today. Notably, investors were not scared by the poor flash US GDP for the first quarter. Besides, the greenback will find more support from the Fed's decision on interest rates. The official funds rate is widely expected to increase by 50 basis points. That will be followed by a series of aggressive rate hikes. Apart from the Fed's rhetoric, the US dollar owes its strength to concerns of a slowdown in the economic growth in Europe and China. The USD CAD pair is again trading higher following a decline on Friday. The trading instrument climbed to 1.2870, and the corridor for the currency pair is defined between 1.2860 and 1.2920 today. So the loonie has weakened the most since early March, with a bearish outlook. The US dollar is holding the upper hand over its Canadian rival. In the context of the Fed's policy meeting, analysts foresee a further upward move of the USD CAD pair. The loonie gives in to the greenback. Despite the hawkish rhetoric of the Bank of Canada, the loonie lacks support from the oil market. That is trading lower in the light of the news on the lockdown in China and the oil embargo. Analysts predict the USD CAD pair to climb as high as 1.2950 in the coming days. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is heading downwards. Investors fight to safe haven assets, and the global risk aversion pushed the digital token into trading range between $38,000 and $39,000. Analysts do not rule out the scenario that Bitcoin might gain impetus and try to rebound to $45,000. This move is likely to be a bounce before another plunge. So, on the global scale, a rate hike, reduction in the balance sheet, and the correlation with the US stock market do not suggest the bullish trend in the crypto market in the visible future. So, Bitcoin is set to trade sideways. Here is a recap of what is going on in American markets on the first day of May. The mixed pre-market and pending PMIs obscure the forecast for today. One thing is certain, we should brace for higher volatility this week. Trade at a profit with InstaForex and see you tomorrow.